Well, hello everybody. See, there's an incredible number of people in chat already. So, welcome aboard. Got a pretty full agenda for you all tonight. So, I'm looking forward to this. If you all can confirm that I've got good audio, I'd appreciate it. JD, hello. Boy, I see Almar. Al's been here for quite some time. I see the Count. James at Dundas Junction. How are you doing, sir? Yes, James. No duck. Absolutely. I need to stop being so damn sensitive about that. Just give StreamYard a try. JD, how are things in Texas? How's the heat down there? Hey, Jerry, thanks for jumping over from your stream. That was a fun time over there, that's for sure. John at Schuylkill River Valley, have you, I'm mispronouncing that, I'm positive. What are you working on model-wise now that the tax season is over? I know I'm glad tax season is over, and I feel a lot better for it. Thank you, Al. I appreciate that feedback on my audio, which I'm still moving my microphone around and working with gain settings and stuff. So appreciate it. I bet you are, John. I tell you, my tax season was miserable, and all I had to do was my own. But as you know, here in Pennsylvania, we've got the Pennsylvania income tax and local income tax. So three returns, even if two of them are kind of small and derivative of the federal, is still a pain in the neck. Hello, John Garvin. How are you doing, sir? Almar, I saw a lot of cookie talk on the channel earlier. What's that all about? Are you baking? Are you making homemade cookies or something? Sounds pretty good to me. I need to find another recipe from my book on railroad recipes and make something again. That was a lot of fun and a fairly popular video, but it's most popular with me. So I got to eat the results. John, it's nice for you to say you understand my tax issues, but you do all these taxes, so doing your own is no issue, I'm sure. So that's fine. Although you don't have to do them with my wife, and my wife has some pretty aggressive and well settled opinions about how to do taxes, and so there's always a little bit of conflict associated with doing taxes. James at Dundas does Canada have a value added tax instead of federal income tax? Is that the deal? I don't really know. Apologize for my ignorance about taxation in Canada. hopefully YouTube will keep running and I'll continue to have comments. Actually, I won't be able to see your comments. I need to. Okay, I've got my tablet running now. I use this screen as my monitor screen to show you stuff. I won't see comments, so I'm running them on my the old tablet here. Sparky, I saw you join. I hope you're doing well, sir, and I hope you're getting some interest in your meet and greet across the border. When my wife gets back from Dallas, I'll start working on her on. We got to get our Pennsylvania driver's licenses first, register our cars here in Pennsylvania, and then we can go get our passports. Then we would be at least legally capable of going through. But I don't know whether that's going to happen. We'll see. But I hope you have a good turnout, Spark. You know how to put on a good live stream. Todd Armstrong, I saw you here earlier. How are you doing, Todd? Been out rail fanning at all? Games from the Junction. Games from the Junction. Wow, Sparky, you're making a lot of progress. I like that. That's good to hear. Okay, we will be on the lookout for Sparky's video about the meeting. Glad to hear you're doing okay, Todd. I appreciate. That's great to hear. Sorry to hear you're working so hard, Todd. But even on the weekends, wow. Yeah, I'm going to try and get down to the trench myself now that the trees are starting to come into leaf here, and we've got a lot of spring foliage. I'm going to try and get down to the trench here in Pittsburgh and do a little rail. It was like a half a mile from my office when I worked in on the North Shore and North Shore of the Allegheny, down there near Deutschetown and Federal Square, and I had no idea. So it's yeah, I am not having fun with the layout yet. For me, the fun is more in the scenery and the structure building and that sort of thing. So I need to get busy on getting the bench done. But taxes really distracted me for quite some time, and then I had the strip I just did that I'll talk about a little bit when the 8 o'clock comes around. But I'm going to start building more bench work soon. Hello, JP at Beaumont Hill. How are you doing, sir? Glad to see you here. I'll be finalizing not finalizing. I don't think you ever finalize a track plan, right? But I will be getting my track plan a little better, a little more done, so I can build more bench work. So got to get that done. So I'll be looking at your advice, JP, to make sure I process that information. Absolutely, I value your advice and your opinion. Thankful. Hey, Edward at Happy Valley Hobbies. Glad to see you here, sir. Hope all is well. I'm logged in on my other channel, JD, and I'm not going to leave live chat on that channel in order to hit the like button. So we're going to be one shot no matter what. No matter what. Glad to see in the chat what you all are working on your layouts, what's going on. who's got some cool rail fanning trips planned and what projects you're working on. So that'll be awesome. Oh, Todd, that looks like a good trip. I hope that creates a video. I'll have to check that out. I love that, JP. Don't encourage me. You've got to encourage me to stick to my decision. Hey, David DB Tech. Glad to see you here. Thank you for joining. Appreciate the support. Do indeed appreciate the support. So I did watch the entire show from last week. I was airborne at the time of the show, the live show, and so that was great for Ray to jump in and support the show and help Brian out, who had holiday plan changes that struck last minute. So that was awesome. I would have been glad to be on with them live. But all right, so here we are. We are at the 8 o'clock hour. So I am going to switch over to another view here. Give me a minute. I'll go over to my STS folder and get this open. And then I'm going to change my view here. So hopefully you all can see that view now. If you could let me know in the comments that you can see me holding a tiny baby, I would appreciate it. Hello, Anthony Dodge. How are you doing? Joe Rader, good to see you, sir. Hope all is well with you. All right, I can see that I've got this going. So last week, I was flying last week during STS in order to go down to meet this fine young gentleman whose name is Dean, first name Dean, and he is my stepson's first child. You can obviously see from his appearance that he's not closely related to me. He's not my blood at all, actually. He is my stepson's child, and he is my stepson. You'll see a picture of him in a moment. He is black, and his wife is Filipino. So this little guy joined us. I hope he will be a model railroader. But I was down in Dallas all week. So I'll go to the next slide here. So this is my stepson, John Swan. He is actually a recruiter for Raytheon in the space division, believe it or not. So he can't really tell me what he's working on. And this is a Lego car that he and I built while I was down there. He is more of a modeler than my son. You notice I'm wearing Keith's Riverside Transfer T-shirt on this day. So there is a YouTube connection in this photograph. Yeah, John loves to build Legos and other models. Other static models like Star Wars and stuff like that. So great guy. There's a close-up of the car that we built together, kind of tag team to do that. So I only build Legos with John. So we did build the Saturn V kit. We've got some of the bigger kits we built together. And I do build with my other son as well. So it's kind of a fun thing to do together. Rainbow Bell, I see you're on board. Hello, sir. Thank you for your shout out during the stream last week, and for recognizing the effort that it takes to work on this space. You all can see behind me these stacks of pink foam board that came out of my shop here. So I'll go on and talk a little bit about what's going on and the progress on the shop. So here, this room is going to be my wife's grow room for her plants. She's a big plant person. Oh, I forgot. Mom and son, train rail fans, got their shirt on. Thank you, Tammy and Ray, for that. So I just hung this door. You can see the old door in the background. I got a pre-hung glass door and put it in its place. Turned out to be a little harder than I expected, but I did get that installed, put the framing around it, so I'm ready to paint that, do the baseboard trim and paint that wall. So I'm making progress slowly but surely. Here are 36 legs for my layout. That Yeah, Dave, the foam board. Yeah, I actually, somebody knocked on the door of my shop here today when I was working, preparing for this live stream, and she asked if she could take it. And I said, please bring a truck and take it all. As you'll see, possibly in the next photograph. Well, at any rate, these 36 legs I cut out of leftover 2x4 that was here in the space, attached to the walls in the back of the space. There were really heavy-duty shells for holding beer. This was a beer distributorship. And so I had to pull all that down, so I cut these legs. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done that because I still have to make some curtain walls. I've got a wall off a bathroom that shares space with a much larger room, so I need to wall off that toilet and sink and make a bathroom out of it so that I can then make the kitchen in the adjacent space. I could have used these 2x4s for that, but I guess priorities. The layout is higher priority than the bath. So here is what is behind me. You can see it from another angle, and that's about half of the foam that I saved. There's another, just to the right, you can see a little bit of foam that is also, well, you can't, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's another stack of foam, even bigger boards on the far side of the shop as well. So I'm done saving foam. The rest of it is smaller pieces. And here is what is left in the workshop space. This doesn't include, I have a dumpster full of it in the back of the shop. I have 2 stacks of board held down by some heavy rocks because it's windy down here by the river. And there's still all this foam in the room. So I'm going to have to take it to the dump. So I suspect tomorrow I'll be making 2 or 3 trips to the dump to get rid of all this foam. And then I can clean the walls up. You can see up above, we should go over this room a little bit because I'm going to go over the floor plan for this room and show you the my proposed layout to this room of furniture, because this is where I'm going to have my workshop. So I'll be interested in your opinions about this. Okay, so you're getting bad sound. Let me. I'm going to lower my volume a little bit, and I'm hoping that will help. Let me know if that improves the sound at all. I apologize for that. I'm trying to get this mic. I almost replaced it earlier today. So let me know if that helps or if it just made me quiet and still static. So, sorry about that. Yes, I'm watching this chat, Sparky. Thanks to your advice, Sparky, I have another device going with the chat on it. So I can see it. Now we're too low. Okay. So it's better high and staticky than. Right, I'm going to turn it back up. I'm going to move the mic a little further away from my face, and we'll see if that helps with the feedback. Okay, I've turned the sound back up. So now I'm waiting for some commentary from you about Okay, that's better, Sparks. Okay, good. We'll see. I don't know. It's a work in progress. At any rate, this is the room. You're looking at a picture of the room. You can see up here, they cut off the heating and air conditioning of the room because they had a separate cooler in here for the beer. So I'm going to have to go up in the attic and open this up and get the air conditioning and heating flowing back into this space. They had a vent fan back here to pull, I guess, to ventilate the space. I'm not even actually sure what it was for. This live wire here was actually the power to the cooler. I'm going to use that for another light, actually. This light hanging by electrical wires. Again, there was 6 inches of foam in between this light fixture and the ceiling. So I'm going to get that. I'll replace both this, and there's a light fixture behind me where I was standing to take this picture. You can see where the foam was all glued to the walls. Yes, James, I know what you mean about the duck. I don't think the sound would be better with the duck. The sound is my problem with this microphone. And what I'm doing here, I probably should just convert over to the Logitech speaker, the Logitech camera speakers. I think that's better sound, and I will try and do that for the next show. I did try to get that set up earlier today. So this room needs a lot of work. You can see these dots all over the walls. That's where adhesive was used to hold these panels of foam insulation to the walls. And so when the guy I hired to scrape it off, some of it tore off. It's a rough surface, so it's going to require a lot of work to get it right. But this fan is going to replace with a window that will be longer than the fan. Right now, 27-inch square opening roughly, and I'm going to put 28-inch window in here, I think, and it'll be longer and let more light in. Here on the left-hand side of the picture, you can see there's another window. This is a glass block window with a vent in it, and it's going to be replaced again by another 27-inch window, double hung window, regular double hung windows. I'm going to have to cut the cinder block with my Sawzall, take all the siding off the outside of the building around there, and so it'll be a pretty big job, but well worth it because I need to let a lot of natural light into my. Good point. I forgot to take off my headphones. Thank you, Sparky. That's good. Yeah, Sparky, I've got central heating and air conditioning. It's a 1992 unit that is going to be replaced. I already have a quote. I've accepted an offer from an HVAC company before the winter weather started to replace my entire system. I have a 1989 furnace and a outdoor AC unit, and all that's going to be replaced with modern equipment. Ed, I am using a blue, I can move this microphone down a little bit so you can see it. So that's the microphone I am using. It's a blue microphone that, not Blue Yeti, blue. Maybe it's an earlier, but it's a studio, supposed to be a studio quality microphone that I bought at a phone shop. Maybe it's so yeah, so I shouldn't need a window AC unit. I just need to get this vent opened up here, and I should have central AC running. Should be okay. And I'm getting a slightly larger unit, a little more like half a ton bigger unit than I currently have. So should be able to handle the space, no problem. So, as Ray said during last week's show, it's I got my work cut out for me here, but it's all good, and I mean it only cost me $200 to have a local guy come in and peel all this off. So it'll probably cost me $90 to get rid of all this stuff. Dump. but then I should be ready to start doing some of the construction. So that's what went on like the day before I left Dallas. I was getting this sort of thing. So hopefully by the end of this week, this will be cleaned out. I'll have these walls cleaned up, and I'll be starting with the construction. Have the windows probably in hand. So I'll certainly start by tearing this fan out and just putting a sheet of plywood in. I don't know, Sparky. I'm not very good at hanging drywall, and so I'm going to try and repair this drywall that's here. Now, admittedly, my only experience in hanging drywall was in my garage in California, and it was terribly framed and all out of square, so not a good scene. So, but some of the drywall will probably come down and go back up again. But I'd rather patch it and just reuse what's there. And that is probably mold back there, Sparky. So I probably, if that has penetrated the wall board, I'm going to have to spray that down with chlorine as soon as I get all this foam out of here, and then I put chlorine bleach, and then if that doesn't come off or it's penetrated the wall, then yes, I'll be tearing all that drywall down on that back wall and re-drywall. I may do that anyway in an abundance of caution. I'll have to see what it looks like. I frankly have not been able to get at that wall because of all this stuff. So I'll be wearing an N95 mask and cleaning this room out. Right now it's sealed up and not sharing air with the shop at all. But get that fan out of there, start getting some air circulating in there. That fan and the cooling unit that created the conditions for that mold growth have not been in there for about 18 months. So it hasn't been an ideal environment for mold to grow, but yeah, well, we'll, I don't know. Any advice on the mold remediation will be sought as I go further into this. I really don't, it doesn't look to me like the mold penetrated, and it looks like this was painted back in the 80s with a alkyd enamel paint, so it's pretty impervious, pretty hard stuff. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted. All right. So here is the floor plan for the workshop that you just looked at. So the window at the top of this drawing is the window that you were looking at where the fan is. The window to the left is the glass block window in that space. Hello, Rail Artist. I see you joined. Welcome aboard. I see Deep Run Mike is here as well. Hello, Mike. And so this is my first stab at arranging the furniture that I have in that room. My thinking primarily was the most important thing was that my workbench had to be by one of these windows so that I would have natural light to work with whenever there was daylight. The standing desk in the upper right-hand corner is the next most used area, and that is the desk I'm at now. This is a standing desk. That's the desk I'm at now. It is where my yes, Sparky. I know that the mold remediation is a big deal, but the EPA does say that you can self-remediate mold here in the United States as long as it's a certain square footage. So I'm going to take their advice and get that done, but I'll just rip the wallboard out of it. So the standing desk, sorry, I'm kind of behind on the comments. And I will be careful about the mold dressing. I'll have my N95 mask on, and I'll get it hosed down with chlorine. So I have the chlorine already here in the shop and a sprayer. So tomorrow, once I've gotten a good amount of the foam board out of there, I'll start to fill it all off. If to the extent it's even alive, frankly. So we'll see. So I've got, these are the 5 pieces of furniture that I know I want to put into the workshop right now. My workbench is the largest unit. There's my airbrush that I have a bunch of videos about. And I have a standing desk that I'm working at, a regular sitting desk that's in there, as well as the miter saw station. So I don't know. This is just my first attempt at placing this furniture in that room, but it's a work in progress. Yeah, I've got bookcases that need to go in there. I can store a lot of materials in there as well. So, yes, I can feel the love, Todd. I know. Sorry I triggered this discussion about mold. But, I'm 67 years old. I'm not too, feeling pretty bulletproof, frankly, being in the fourth quarter. Maybe that's foolhardy. But I will be careful. I'll have my N95 on, protect my lungs, one of the odds. But I will get it sprayed down. So, any advice you all have about this floor plan, I would appreciate. Hey, Steve, 87th PSAP, how are you doing, sir? Glad to see you. So, any advice you all have about how to arrange this, I would be more than happy to have that. I don't know if, like, the principles of kitchen design and a work triangle make sense, or what the right way is to do this, but it looks like there should be enough room for my my furniture. The airbrush booth and the miter saw are both on wheels, so they can move around. The airbrush, I think I'm going to build I'm going to vent that through the roof. I'm not going to go out through the window. I'm going to go up and vent through the roof. So wherever I end up putting the airbrush is going to be a permanent location. I kind of like it closer to the window because I get a little bit of natural light into that area. I need to install lights and spray booth for it to function a little bit better. But that's kind of the plan there for the workshop. So, again, any comments about how to arrange this would be welcome. Just trying to see who I missed coming in on the comments. There's Rusty Opossum Mayu. Hello, Rusty. Hope all is well. So here is continuing on the theme of Ray, the point that Ray made during the last stream about all the projects I have to do. Here is what the original mailbox space looked like. You can see pretty bad shape and numbers, stick-on numbers from a big box store. So I started by replacing the mailbox with this new larger unit and painting the area a little darker color just to create a little background. And then here are the numbers that I created for the space. Each one is a different font, and I actually hand painted the letters with Vallejo paints, Vallejo model paints by hand, and then I oversprayed them with Krylon, which I was a little disappointed turned out to be not completely clear, kind of yellowish. So I probably should go back and paint that entire white board with Krylon, just so it's all got the yellow background. But at any rate, that's one of the projects for the building that I did. This is a temporary project because I'm going to have to replace all of the siding eventually. And I'm going to put up some concrete siding. But there you go. So that's a non-modeling project that I've had to do here. So plenty of that. Now, this slide is here to remind me to talk about this. Just quickly, in my last stream, or maybe the stream before, I talked about those Casro flat car kits that I have and trying to get instructions for them from the company when they'd gone out of business. And I had written a letter to the what I thought was the address of the guy who owned the company, and it turned out that it was in fact an accurate address. I'm going to turn this light down a little bit. I can see I'm pretty overexposed. And he actually responded. Mike at Deep Run helped me get most of the instructions I need. But he didn't send. He couldn't find on the site that he had found. I got instructions for the cars themselves, but not for the transformer load kits that I'd also bought from Railfan Models. And so I got those instructions from Railfan Models. Interesting. I see JP indicates he's been using an adjustable workbench, and that is cool. Yeah, I have a standing desk. My workbench is tall enough; it's the same height as my desk, so I can work at it standing, or I can sit on an adjustable stool that I have for the workbench. So my workbench is a U-line packing table that doesn't move up and down, but I can set it for a variety of heights. So I set it pretty close to where I need to be height-wise. So I've got the instructions for all of these transformers now. I have everything I need thanks to Deep Run and the manufacturer who sent me everything electronically as well. So now I'm good to go to build those kits whenever the queue on the work frees up. So thought I would close the loop on that that issue, something I talked about previously. So I guess the bottom line is don't give up. If you think you know, keep hunting, keep trying to find a contact to do what you need to do. Now, again, I think I talked about this project previously. Tell me if I've got old man syndrome and I'm re-talking. I know I talked about building this bench outside my shop, modeled after this bench, which is the actual bench in Millvale. And I just wanted to give you an update, which was that I had a line on a church pew that I was going to use to do this project, and the woman who was selling it flaked out at the last minute and said she was, a relative. I think her son wanted to keep the bench and not sell it. So I ended up not being able to get the bench that I wanted. So I'm going to try and I'm going to have to find another bench. So that's kind of the update on that or very modeling adjacent kind of project. So that's kind of on hold. Probably the most important non-modeling related project, and I don't have a picture for this, sorry, is I really need to go out and work on the pole sign out front here, because today I had 2 people come up knocking on the door looking to buy beer. Hasn't been operating for like 18 months, but there's still a sign out front, so I think I need to get that sign down. So it's going to be some high work. Going to have to find a calm day and pull out big sheets of acrylic out of that, and at least turn them around so that the blank, maybe sandblast them or clean off the existing probably decals that are on there, and put my own signage up. I'm not going to backlight it and make a big deal because I'm not trying to attract the public. But I need to get that done, and it's kind of rusty, so it's going to be a big project. Yeah, that's true, Sparky. It is kind of a basic bench, but it'll be a lot cheaper, I think, to just buy a church pew. If I can find one, I'm looking for a church pew that's open in the back so that melting snow, rain will all flow off and won't catch it. Most church pews don't have an opening back there. Because then for $100, I can probably get a church pew and just get to work decorating it, and it should be pretty quick. Yeah, really, Ray. Where's the beer? I don't have any beer. not much of a drinker. So, so here is when I was in Dallas, the Dallas area, I discovered another coffee shop that's basically a cube. This thing is frighteningly like the 151 coffee shop. It even has a slight slope from the front to the back. So it's real. So I want to do another one. And as Boxcar Jerry pointed out in his live stream when we were chatting about this, coffee shops on a model railroad layout. Come on, Bob, you need to be doing warehouses and industries. And so I'm probably going to go that route, but this would be easy to do. In some ways, this would be easier than the 151 coffee shop because these signs are much shallower. I think the awnings are going to be easier to build, so it really would be pretty easy to do scooters. And unlike 151, which has a lot of architectural variety in their shops, these scooters, there are a lot of them that are built on exactly this model. I saw 3 of them when I was down there that were essentially exactly the same. So I don't know, but fun stuff. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that I've been trying to do is to get more and more. Try to use AI to support my channel and potentially use it in modeling, use it in my layout. And so one of the things I did was I created a thumbnail test for my latest video about the 151 coffee shop build. And Ed, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, 4-inch thick sides. You need to give me more data there, I'm not sure. The walls, the foam insulation in the shop was 6 inch. I think that's either 2.5 to 3-inch thick foam. So it's like 6 inches. So if that's what you were talking about, I'm not sure. So I did an A/B test of thumbnails, and this was suggested by Johnny over BNC Rails as well. And so I ran an A/B test of the thumbnails. Disappointingly, there's not much difference between the performance of the 2 thumbnails. Now, what's interesting is that YouTube is only comparing the watch time generated by the thumbnail, not the clicks. I'm not sure that's the metric that I would have chosen. Oh, the bench has 4 inches. Yeah, I didn't measure that bench. They're very thick. Sorry, Ed, I misunderstood your comment. Yeah, that's a very thick piece of wood on those sides. So yeah, I don't know where I'd get that. It would be very expensive, bottom line. So this thumbnail test, you can see it's basically even. 48.6% for the photo of the actual model, actual shop and actual model, or 51.4% for the AI generated thumbnail. Interesting result, I must say. And I've got to tell you, generating the AI thumbnail was a hell of a lot easier. It took about 5 minutes. Of course, I had to take the picture of the model. So that was still the same. It's the same picture. But after that, it was a lot easier to do it on the AI than to build the thumbnail in graphics. So anyway, at any rate, I thought that was interesting. But this has led me to think that I should use AI more in generating thumbnails because it's basically the same. So I don't know, basically the same performance for less work. So I don't know. I don't know what you all think, but there it is. Not even sure what my next slide. Okay. All right. So I'm now going to shift gears here, and I'm going to go to a slideshow of, hopefully I can find it here quickly. I'm going to go to a slideshow of some rail fanning that I did because I think it has some interesting modeling related applications. So this is the intermodal yard at Lindenwood, which is in the St. Louis area. And so I drove around it, and and then I parked and I walked. And so you can see here there's some MyJack cranes, intermodal cranes that are in use there. These are much more modern cranes than the Walford MyJack kit, which is much smaller. But at any rate, they're interesting, and we'll get another view of these. So here you can kind of see that they are what are called rubber tire gantry cranes that move up and down concrete pads on either side of two tracks containing the containers. And this is kind of a really small container yard that is pretty model-genic. It's pretty model-genic. So some BNSF power. I thought these ties stacked up by a trackside were interesting. You know, overall, this is a pretty neat looking yard. It's pretty clean. So these little details I thought were cool. And there was a crossover, so I'm starting to walk over the overpass over the yard. And I thought that was some interesting graffiti. There's a better view of those rubber tire gantry cranes, and also you can see some of the stacked intermodal equipment. You can see over here on the right, you can see one of the yard tractors. You know, here are all these trailers for holding containers. So very interesting to me as an intermodal model. And here I'm starting to walk over these BNSF units. I'm afraid I'm not good enough a rail fan to identify the type of engine that this is. But there's probably interesting, Steve. I've got that. I do have that Walters kit, but so here I am, just walking across the overpass and shooting some of these rail cars. I thought this was a good view of the rail cars from a weathering standpoint, just to see, and we're going to be able to see inside some rail cars, which I think I've always struggled on what's the right way to weather these things. So, still making my way across the bridge and shooting back behind me, looking at these BNSF units. I like the one to the left and kind of overspeed. So here you can see the yard. It's not a huge yard. It was interesting that just picking up some of the details here on some of these well cars that was interesting to me, and some of the graffiti and weathering on these hoppers was interesting. Also, this light gray or light blue tank car was unusual. And here you can see inside the auto rack got an open door. You don't often see inside there. Not that you need to really model it, but so here we go. I don't know. I don't know what type of car that is to the left. I see there's a car with, and I haven't taken pictures of it, but there's a car with wheel sets. And maybe that car back is just an empty wheel set. Should have gotten more pictures. Sorry. Instead, I focused on these well cars here because I have a lot of well cars and I love intermodal and model a lot of intermodal. And so, rail artists, whatever time you can provide to us, we enjoy having you here. Thank you, sir. And good luck with your wife. Obviously, family comes first, but we do enjoy having you here. So thank you for dropping by and spending whatever time you can. So I just thought this was interesting to see what the weathering you got here in this shot. You've got two different types of well cars, and you can see the type of weathering that has occurred inside there and what you need to replicate when you model it. And also, it's interesting to see the condition of the track and how the wood ties are only very little partially exposed in this particular track over here. Interesting details in the show. I thought it was interesting. Well, I got a better shot of the car with the wheel sets here. I see, so that looks that's interesting. And I guess that one in the back is a purpose-specific wheel set car. So, another shot of this. We're going to get a movie here eventually, so because the train did pass by with some interesting motive power. So I thought this was cool. The way this wood is tied down. This is an opera window car. This particular car would be very interesting to model. It's green, and you'll see the name of the carrier on the other side of the car when we get a little bit further across the bridge. And here again, you can see some interesting condition of the track, some spilled sand or something in the middle, in between the rails. Just kind of cool details for doing a yard. So, always glad when I go out and get pictures of the roof. So here's again, you can see some of the weathering on the top of this green car with the orange tie-down straps. It's pretty striking, pretty cool. You can see, looking down here, it's a car full of fence posts. And here is the train that passed under a Kansas City Southern lead unit. Then there's a Canadian Pacific, followed by a couple of BNSF units. So it's got some mixed power. I was not in a really good position to catch this, and for some reason I decided to turn my camera a long shot of it further on, and as I moved down, I started moving down. I catch a better shot of the train. So, when it starts turning, I'm gonna skip to the next picture so you all don't get seasick. But this was cool to be this close to the motive power. 2 feet above the train, having it pass the beat was really. And I'm going to show some other shots of some of the. Okay, now I'm starting to turn the. At this point, I thought, oh boy, I can't really see much, so I turned it. Of course, that one. This guy was stopped at the light, and again, since I'm interested in intermodal, so I'm interested in vehicles, the road vehicles as well. So I grabbed a quick shot of that. Now here, I think I got a better shot. Yeah, there you go. Here, I just thought this was interesting. This is a detail that you don't always see modeled, but even when it's empty, it's got a lot of this wire bracing, and you can see some chains in there as well. And so it's really a lot of fine detail. That would not be easy to model. But if you can rig a 1/72nd scale World War I biplane, you should. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's still some issues with my sound, I guess. I'm seeing that. I apologize. But I just thought this detail would be interesting to model. If you could get that onto your empty um, bulkhead flat cars, that would be a cool detail to model. No question about it. Now here's another shot of that center beam car that we saw from above, the bay line. Uh, cool weathering, great color. Um, that and it's an opera window car. So if you were in the mood to do some redecorating of a car, this is I think a really good specimen. And of course, it's probably on railpictures.net. I haven't looked railroadarchive.net, whatever it's called, but it's probably out there as well. Hopefully, some pictures of them. Um, but very cool car. I'd like to have that on my layout. Just looking at the tie downs here just to see. And a blue car. You know, these bulkhead cars have some interesting colors going on. A lot of lumber. You know, there's a light blue car, a dark blue car, red car, yellow car, green car. There's just a lot of primary colors going on here, so it's really kind of cool. Overhead view. They're not all. Some of them are weathered heavily, some aren't. So it's good look. Now here's some other well cars. These are interesting. I don't know that I have any like this that basically do not have a solid bottom, just a framework of support members, but it's mostly open. So cool. I hadn't seen that before. And there's just a quick overhead view. You know, I have a lot of these Plano etched steel walkway sets, and so good to know that they don't have to be weathered very heavily. Should be different colors. So, here, I thought the yard lights were interesting. I know these are not unusual. Does anybody make a model of these kind of lights? That's really a very unique looking thing. I'd love to have some of those in my yard. That's for sure. Here again, I thought this was an interesting detail of these ties stacked up here. And then over here, some of these Jersey barriers, as I believe they're called, on the side of the yard. Good use for those and a good kind of detail to add to your yard, even out in the center of the yard, right? We're not near any of the yard structures or anything like that. So I thought that was a cool detail. And I think that is it for the Lindenwood yard. All right, now I am going to try and find. All right, so I'm going to go back to my 151 off bill. Oh, interesting, Dave. I love that. Using white New Jersey carriers. Yeah, we could use a lot of those in our modeling, and they're not cheap. So what I wanted to do here on the 151 coffee bill, kind of as an inside peek, is talk to you all about the problems and mistakes that I made, problems I encountered and solved, and that sort of thing. Some of the detail that I'm unlikely to share in the loop. And so I'm just going to cherry pick some pictures out of here and talk about what went wrong. So because I think there's the most learning comes from. So when I attached this is a picture when I first attached these awnings to the side of the building. So I was gluing. I sanded these awnings at an angle carefully, and then I actually glued them to the photograph with tight bond adhesive. So basically a white. And when I came back to the shop the next morning, one of them had fallen off. And so it did not hold to the photograph. And that is clearly that I'm gluing to a portion of the structure that was painted glossy. You can see the gloss shine there. So what I did was I took an X-Acto knife and I scored that area, kind of longitudinally, 2 or 3 scores running the length of the area where the awning was. And then I re-glued it, and it has stayed so far. But that's certainly one of the things that I would do differently is I would score things. In fact, I glued the photographs to the side of my styrene core without scoring anything. And in hindsight, I would probably take some rough sandpaper to the side of that building and score it before I glued the entire picture down. That way there would be less chance of likelihood of it peeling off. So that was one lesson that I definitely learned here. Now, here is a picture of the front of the building, and the lesson that this shows is don't take pictures when it's a bright sunny day like this. You can obviously tell it's a typical Texas sunny day with no clouds in the sky. But this what happened was this side of the building was in shadow. The entire side of the building was in shadow, and so it was very difficult to get it to be brighter, to brighten up the picture. It would have been better if it had been a cloudier day with light bouncing all over the place, and the front would have been a little more illuminated, equally illuminated to the sides. So, taking your pictures when you're doing this photo lamination work on a day that's cloudy is important. And here you see my picture of the side of the building. Look at that shadow underneath the roof. That shadow may not be consistent with other shadows on the layout. If the layout lighting creates a conflicting shadow, it's going to work. So, not the best. So that's kind of the lesson: is not to shoot on a sunny day if you have that option. And I did not take my pictures in the scooter's coffee shop in bright sunlight. I tried to wait for cloudy. Mm, okay. Let's see what else. So here another mistake that I made and some problems that cropped up in this build. Um, the stretch sprue on the far right support cable is bowed out. It's not straight enough. It's not straight enough. And also you can see that I put a drop of CA super glue to hold the cable where it touches the building, and the one on the left worked fine. The one on the right, the CA kind of spread out and made a spot on the wall. So that was not good. Not good. Here you can see how dark the front is. I'll show you another picture of that. It was the best I could do. This is the actual JPEG that I used to simulate the front of the building, and you can certainly see that it's in shadow. I couldn't really brighten that red up very well, but I had to recreate a lot of these panels. You can see this panel here actually was pretty bad. I should have had this gray square be smaller. And I simulated the serving window here. I actually put in some cloud images in some of these panes just to simulate reflection, just to build something a little more detailed into it. So it was that was another thing that wasn't perfect, and but sometimes you got to take pictures when you have access to the building, and so it's not possible to get that right. So I'm going to my notes here. I have a bunch of other topics and things I can talk about, but I've covered quite a few things. Lindenwood. Okay, so I have. Excuse me one minute. As you probably know, if you've let me change my view here. I'm showing stuff. Okay, so hopefully you've got a more full picture. Yes, you do. So I want to talk really briefly about this book here, which is a guided journal for modelers. You can see the cover looks like a self-healing cutting mat. And probably know that I'm kind of interested in the psychological aspects of the hobby, barriers to creativity, that sort of thing. And so, boy, I've been talking a long time here. My voice is starting to go. So this book was written by a guy who's into journaling. And so this is actually a journaling book. I don't know if it's focused, but he asks a bunch of key questions about the scale modeling hobby, but I think it's applicable to our hobby as well, to get you to think about the hobby and why you're not making progress, to help you prioritize your projects and that sort of thing. And so it's written by a guy by the name of Steve Anderson, and his website is journalinsights.com. He does a bunch of other journals, but he's a plastic model or an airplane model. But at any rate, he asks a lot of questions. So an example would be, what's one thing you could do to make your modeling space better? And maybe if you identify that one thing, you can then actually do something about it. So at any rate, I do recommend this book. I think it makes you think about your hobby, how you're spending your time, and how you could do better at modeling. So, JD, take care. I see you're taking off. Thank you for attending. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Next week, I expect to, not next week, next show, that I do, I will have some more progress on my shop, some more modeling. I'm going to get the plywood down and the foam down on this side of this module, this table. I'm also going to make my 2 turn-back loop tables, which are going to be, um, 86 inches in width. So they're going to be pretty big blobs to be consistent with my 41-inch minimum radius. So they're going to be big tables. I'll be using some of those 36 legs back there in order to construct that. So it will be an interesting process to get those done. But I really have to get the workshop done. I need to get stuff into the workshop. There's a lot of boxes, tools, modeling supplies, things that need to get into the workshop and free the floor up for the right needs. So, I won't be able to build much more than those 2 turn-back loops until I get that done. So, but I will start modeling this side of this 10-foot long table, and I will be putting a intermodal yard on there. It will be just a auto transshipment yard, and I've been building in that connection, and I know I don't have my overhead camera set up, so it's hard to see, but I'm building 4 auto racks. These are the Walthers or A-Line. I think A-Line acquired the molds, and so these are auto rack kits. And I'm updating those. The original kits ran on rails. I'm updating them so that they're running on rubber tires, and they have the original ones had kind of a chain that lifted up the ramp where the cars travel. I'm changing that over to piston driven like the more recent machinery. So that's what I'm doing on that. So all that is in connection with that particular scene, the first scene that I'm going to try and build. So hopefully I'll have a little more progress on that next week. Now, sorry, I'm kind of hopscotching around here on issues, and I apologize. And I know I'm over time, and I'm going to conclude with this last recommendation, and that is a website, and I could put it in the chat if I had a keyboard associated with my tablet. There's and again, this is my fascination with the mental part of creativity and modeling is certainly creative. I mean, look, I value being part of this community because this is a special group of people who are very creative and for whom making things and building things is a very important part of their being. And I think that's so important to our happiness. And so doing more of it and overcoming barriers to doing it is to me very important. So I'm sorry if I'm droning on about something, but I just feel like it's very important. And there's a website. There's a guy who has a website where he deals with a lot of these creative blocks. It seems to be his primary focus. And that YouTube channel is Bokeh Bushido, Bokeh. That is the Japanese word for blur, very common in photography, and this guy is a photographer. Bokeh, and then Bushido, the Japanese warrior code, Bushido, Bokeh Bushido. And I recommend you taking a look at a couple of this guy's videos. They're very well done. His presentation, his photography, his graphics are top notch. But he also has some great insights that help me to stay focused and to be more productive, and I think that might help. So, all right, with that, I am going to sign off. This was not because I just came back from my trip. I was not as prepared as I really wanted to be for this. I mean, I had plenty to talk about. I always do, but I will have more modeling related stuff next time. And I hope you all have a great week. And I really appreciate your support coming on my stream. And I will see you online probably tomorrow in a chat session somewhere on James's show, if nothing else. James at Dundas Junction show, if nothing else. I think he's got the Monday night stuff. So I will see you there. Thank you, John, for posting Boca Bushido. I appreciate that. And again, thank you all for attending. I'm still exhausted from my trip, so I am going to sign off. I spent most of today kind of preparing for this show, getting things organized. So I am I'm looking forward to a good night's sleep, and then I'll be coming in here to clean out the foam out of that workshop and get that moving. So there's always something to do. I hope you too have something to do. You focus on your modeling and you have a very productive week at work and at the workbench. So until next time, Bob Johnson with PK and W Model Works signing off. Keep on modeling.